No time for an introduction. Got a lot of ground to cover, so let's just dive right in. Jesus fuck, I'm not reading this long-winded shit out loud. Want context to what I'm saying? Then pause the video and read it yourself. Now, as for the person who commented, glad to see you admit you're making an ass out of yourself. Admittance of guilt is the first step towards recovery. I'm going to go ahead and answer your issues based on the fact that this isn't just Mean Guy X on a separate account trying to type normally to make it look like somebody other than him gives a rat's ass about what somebody has to say about his comments on YouTube. Notice I said trying to type normally because you're doing a pretty bad job at it yourself, which is pretty good evidence that this is just an alt account. I don't know if you're legit or not, and frankly I don't care because it doesn't really matter. Just know that I've acknowledged the possibility that this could very well be Mean Guy X operating under a sock account. A real sock account, not the falsified BBC version. With that, let's begin. Okay, so he has Down syndrome. So fucking what? I don't care what kind of mental ailment you have or claim to have. If you come onto my channel or any kind of presence of mine and act like an idiot, I'm going to treat you like one. That's how I treat everybody, and I don't discriminate. Since your cousin had enough mental acumen to be able to get on the internet, purposely make a YouTube account, and knowingly spew bullshit on my channel, I see no reason to treat him in any other way than he should be treated. I find it hard to believe that with the way you're making his intelligence out to be, based on his subpar spelling and grammar, that he'd be able to do any of those things that led to me verbally eviscerating him. Here's what I find funny about your little diatribe. You're ranting and raving about me not giving him any special treatment and treating him as equally as I do everybody else. So basically, you're the one implying that he's less of a person, not me. I gave him the same opportunity to speak his mind that I do everybody else, and my reactions were warranted based on what he gave me. The way I see it, if you've got enough mental capacities to be able to proficiently surf the internet and know what you're doing when you do things like commenting on a YouTube video, you're fair game. Why should I treat somebody differently just because they have some kind of mental condition, yet they've shown they have enough going on in their head to be able to have a presence on the internet, however large or minuscule it may be? And furthermore, why should I block him? That would imply that what he said personally bothered me in any other way than slightly comical annoyance of his poor typing and logic. I don't block anybody, because blocking is a cowardly bitch thing to do. Instead of relying on me to block him, why don't you or his parents or whomever may look after him regulate his internet usage? If you know that he's prone to saying stupid shit to people online based on his mental condition, why don't you do a better job of looking after him so he doesn't say said stupid shit? He's your family, which makes him your responsibility, not mine. Now, what I'd really like to know is if you're aware of a certain small-time internet personality by the name of Chris Chan. And if you are and are aware of the things he's said and done, I'd then like to know if you have the same opinion of him as all his detractors and treat him the same way as they do. Because if you do, that officially makes you a hypocrite because he happens to have autism, which is considered a mental ailment. Why aren't you getting on people for making fun of him? Could it be because you're a double standard having fraud that only cares that a member of your family has a mental handicap? You should know that he's actually not the first person I've laid the smackdown on that had a mental handicap. Back around 2002 or so, I engaged in a back and forth war of words over the internet with somebody that has what's known as dyspraxia, which is a neurological disorder that affects movement, coordination, and even mental judgment. And just like with your cousin, I didn't give him any special treatment for the same reason. What it boils down to is that everyone that isn't a vegetable or afflicted with severe mental retardation is responsible for their own actions. Do you think if your cousin got arrested for sexual assault, the courts would be like, "Oh shit, he has Down syndrome. We can't do anything. Case dismissed"? Fuck no. Granted, they would take his disability into consideration, but he wouldn't get off scot-free just because he has a mental handicap. Just like he doesn't get off scot-free with me for his stupid comments. Yes, I know what a fucking foot fetish is. I also know that certain fetishes can be taken to an unnatural and perverse level, and your cousin was right on the cusp of that by going on and on about how desirable and succulent BBC's feet were. Now that I know that he supposedly has a mental handicap, I find his fetish even more disconcerting, because it's usually the ones with some kind of mental handicap that are on DeviantArt professing their sexual desires for xenomorph toes or some shit like that. You know, most rational people keep their fetishes to themselves. I didn't need to know that he'd lusted over BBC's feet, so therefore I made my displeasure of hearing that information known to him. Don't like that? Tough shit. It seems like you're yet another individual that doesn't know what bullying actually is. So allow me to educate you. Pay attention. Bully. Noun. A person who uses strength or power to harm or intimidate those who are weaker. What power or strength did I have over him? How was I harming him by replying to his stupid-ass comments? And even if I was harming him, would you not agree that he deserved the response he got based on what he gave me first? Where's the intimidation factor? Verb. Use superior strength or influence to intimidate someone, typically to force him or her to do what one wants. What influence did I have over him? What was I trying to force him to do? It's not like I somehow dragged him over to the keyboard and forced him to type out his stupid shit for me to respond to. He did that all on his own. Don't start no shit and there won't be any. Hell, I'll go ahead and use a definition that's closer to what you're trying to say. One habitually cruel to others who are weaker. How is he weaker than me? Because he has Down syndrome? Based on the fact that he has enough mental abilities to type anything over the internet, I don't see that as a weakness at all, even if you imply that it is. The only habitual cruelty is what he brought upon himself every single time he commented, and not based on the fact that he has Down syndrome. It's not like I constantly go to his YouTube page and leave insulting remarks on his videos or in his discussion feed, so you really can't even consider what I repeatedly said to him to be habitual, because it was on a case-by-case basis. So no, what I did cannot be remotely considered bullying. It seems like you're another one of those misguided individuals that has bought into this cyberbullying nonsense. I was planning on making a video exposing the utter stupidity of the concept of cyberbullying, but I'll just go ahead and make my abridged feelings on the subject known now since the situation calls for it. Cyberbullying is a steaming load of bullshit that shows how utterly pussified America has become. Most of the things people consider to be cyberbullying don't even fall under the definition of the word bully, just like your accusation of me being a bully doesn't. Now, it is possible to harass and even stalk somebody over the internet, but most people just lump that into the new broad category of cyberbullying rather than just refer to it by what it actually is, which is harassment and stalking. I honestly don't see how it's possible to bully somebody over the internet because people have tools at their disposal online that they don't usually have in real life, which completely eradicates the overbearing, intimidation, power, strength, and forceful elements normally found in bullying. Back in my day, making fun of somebody wasn't bullying. It was just insulting or name-calling. It could be cruel, yes, and it may have even been habitual. But when I was growing up, you grew a set of balls, manned the fuck up, and realized that they were just words and they don't have nearly the lasting impact that actions do. And the only power those verbally insulting you have is the power you give them. To put it in terms you can understand, this is bullying. And this is not bullying. Any questions? Comments? Concerns? Get it? Got it? Good. Let's move on. When did I ever actually say that I was better than BBC overall as a person? The only time I even made a fraction of a percentage of an implication towards that was my reaction to his piss-poor attempts of trying to damage control himself. And just like what I did to your cousin, that was a case-by-case basis. I don't think I'm better than BBC as a person. In fact, contrary to popular belief and what my demeanor seems to give off, I don't think or claim to be better than anyone. I'm not the slightest bit perfect, and I make plenty of mistakes. I think that when I call myself the God of exposure, people seem to think that I have some kind of God complex, or that I think I'm some sort of omnipotent being incapable of being outsmarted or outclassed. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Me referring to myself as the God of exposure is just my own hyperbolic way of saying that I'm really good at exposing people. And that's pretty much a fact, because my 11-year history speaks for itself. I have a very small, unknown message board partially dedicated to documenting pretty much everybody that I've ever exposed on the internet. Think of it as my big game trophy room of ownage. A while back, I was engaging in a back-and-forth YouTube PM correspondence with somebody called Feltzer342, and my message board became a topic of discussion. He admitted to me that he initially thought that I was full of shit when I claimed to have dealt with and exposed idiots since roughly 2003. But then he said he took a look at my board and all the documentation of people I've owned and exposed, and he found out I wasn't bullshitting. However, despite my long record of ownage, I've never claimed to be perfect, and I make just as many mistakes as the next guy. What seems to set me apart from everybody else, though, is that I'm man enough to admit when I've made a mistake, unlike the majority of the fantards I've responded to on here, and apparently unlike BBC as well, because he never owned up to the amateurish mistakes he made when he responded to the initial video I made about him, and apparently unlike Razor Fist as well, because he still hasn't owned up to the mistakes I called him out on, and instead decided to put on a sidestep dance show and imply that I wasn't relevant enough to warrant a response. I didn't tell your cousin to kill himself because he's handicapped. I told him to kill himself because he displayed a level of idiocy that could be a potentially dangerous detriment to those around him. By suggesting to him that he kill himself, I'm doing my part to potentially prevent somebody else being seriously injured, dying, or being profoundly negatively affected by him and his stupidity. So by telling him he should kill himself, I'm looking out for my fellow man, which drills a chasm-like hole in the accusation that I think I'm better than everyone else. And yes, I was 100% serious when I suggested he end his life, because the reality of it is, some people are just complete and utter wastes of oxygen and are only alive because murder is illegal. With the repeated stupidity he showed me, he didn't give me any reason to believe that his life was worth anything. Personally, I feel that the lives of these kinds of pathetic people aren't precious in the slightest, and I really don't give a shit if people disagree with me on that. Good to know that he won't be spouting off his complete and utter idiocy to me anymore. As far as me needing to get my ass in order is concerned, I feel the preceding comprehensive and thorough response to your issues says to the contrary. Thanks for stopping by, though. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. And with that, we're finally moving on to the next comment. Whoops, looks like I spoke too soon. Such a stupid, pointless debate. You are both morons as far as I am concerned. Alright then, prove it. And when I say prove it, I mean with actual objective evidence pertaining to the situation. Not just butthurt-induced nonsense based on what I said to your cousin. Next comment. I'm still baffled that you didn't listen to a single thing Lawsy said to you. Your bias towards BBC has made it impossible to explain to you how his job at the time with EA didn't support the bad business practices whatsoever. Bias? What bias? I've said on multiple occasions in several of my videos and in comments that I'm actually a fan of his. Additionally, if you look at my upload history, he's not the only person I've targeted. So where's this bias you speak of? Please, show it to me. I hate to break it to you, but being vociferous in being factually correct about something, regardless of a person you admire taking the opposing incorrect stance, doesn't constitute bias. Then once you've made a likely poor attempt to answer that query, please tell me how BBC being employed with EA at the time equated to him not supporting their business practices. Let's break it down. Did BBC tell people in at least one video to not support EA's terrible business practices and call for a boycott of the company? Did BBC then become employed with the very company he told people to boycott? Does the definition of boycott include other parameters other than cutting off commercial relations? Does one of those parameters include a social element? Could being employed with a company be considered a social relation? Would BBC have had to adhere to company guidelines and policies in order to keep his job at the time? Does a company need not just money, but also labor contributed by people in order to run efficiently? Is a company that runs efficiently able to develop and enforce terrible business practices? If you answered yes to all of those questions, which you should have, because that's the factually correct answer for all of these questions, then BBC's employment with EA was supporting the bad business practices and rendering any boycott on his part completely useless. If you're providing the necessary labor needed to keep a company running, you're also enabling them to continue to develop and enforce bad business practices, thus contributing to the very thing you're supposed to be against. Seriously though, I want you to attempt to address these blatant holes in your argument. It should be interesting watching what kind of dance routine you'll engage in. I will be eagerly awaiting your response. And as far as what Lulzy said goes, don't worry. We'll get to him another time, I assure you. Next comment. Your argument would make sense if it said and instead of or, but both definitions clearly use the word or, meaning if you only withdraw from commercial relations, that is still boycotting. Come on, man. Some of the arguments people bring up for BBC are absolute shit that you could tear apart in a second, which you have shown before in other videos. Why did you go for this particular one? Edit. Don't get me wrong though, it's kinda counterproductive to boycott a company while working for them. I agree with you there. What I find baffling is that you decided to leave your initial comment up even after you countered yourself with your added comment edit. I would normally approve of such an action if the person in question admitted their initial comment was a mistake and stated that they would leave it up to own up to their fuck up. But you did nothing of the sort, so I'm led to believe that you're somehow sticking with your initial comment even though your added edit destroys it. I'm sure people that are still able to efficiently use their minds would like to know how that works. The or is only there to give people more than one option of boycotting, but the fact remains that just sticking to one method of boycotting doesn't work. A business needs three essential things in order to exist: some kind of product or service, money, and manpower. If a company has a shitload of money to use, but little to no manpower to provide labor to make the company run efficiently, the company still isn't going to last very long because there's not enough labor to be able to meet the supply and demand. So yes, if you take away just the money, especially if the company has already been making a profit for quite some time, like EA has, your boycott most likely won't get very far. The majority of the fanboys I've responded to, and even BBC himself, seem to be convinced that the manpower element doesn't even come into the equation, and that it was only the money side of things that needed to be addressed, when the labor plays just as much of an important role. It's like that one episode of South Park where Cartman bought a theme park just so he could have it all to himself. He soon discovered that he needed manpower in order to keep the park operational just for him. So little by little, he had to let more and more people into the park just to pay the expenses of keeping it running until he had no choice but to allow it to turn back into a typical theme park, with lots and lots of people enjoying the rides other than him. A company like EA operates under the same principle. Only difference is they sell an actual product. Without the manpower-induced labor, they can't sell the product because it most likely wouldn't even exist. So tell me, even with the or element thrown in there, how does becoming employed with EA and providing them with the labor they need to stay in business contribute to any sort of boycott? How does being added to their payroll for a tech support job force them to change the business practices that started the idea of a boycott to begin with? It doesn't. And your little edit acknowledges this, thereby rendering your initial comment completely worthless. Good job. Next comment. Dude, you straight up garbage. You're grasping at straws when you talk about BBC. Just stop. You are just a joke. BBC FTW. Debate him. Bet you won't make one good point and he will own you for days. You are a sorry excuse for a troll and so-called exposer? Grasping at straws? How? Using the definition of the word boycott and other factual evidence is grasping at straws now? Sorry, Tardo. I don't fucking think so. If you want to talk grasping at straws, I refer you to the previous individual I just responded to, as well as the many other fanboys that have used stupid, flimsy arguments to try to prove me wrong. As for debating BBC, you must be out of the loop as far as that's concerned, so allow me to bring you up to speed. Your infallible idol BBC wants no part of me, and I have evidence to back this up. Exhibit A. He blocked me from his channel for exposing his hypocrisy and double standards of boycotting EA by becoming employed with them. The funny thing is, there was somebody else, by his own admission, that tried to do the same thing that I did that led to me getting blocked. Yet he had no problem going after this individual to the point where they blocked him, which led to BBC ridiculing the person in question for blocking him. Now, if this person he went after apparently did the same thing I did, why didn't he attempt to give me the same treatment? BBC's excuse for this was that he claimed I was a sock account. But the funny thing about that is, I asked him not once, but twice to prove that I was. Technically 3 times if you count my God of Exposure smites BBC again video after I destroyed his own faulty interpretation of what a sock puppet actually is. And even if I was a sock account, that wouldn't counter, disprove, or invalidate anything that I said to him. Him thinking I was a sock account was just a convenient sidestep that he could grasp onto to avoid having to answer to me. Because I'm willing to bet that the only reason why he went after the other individual is because they didn't have the intelligence and forethought to see right through and destroy his "it's just a job" bullshit damage controlling. His response to me asking him to prove that I was a sock puppet was that he wasn't interested in proving it. So he has a history of trying to ask people to prove their faulty statements and or accusations, yet when I back him into that corner, he gets to sidestep away from it and slip out the back door by simply saying he doesn't care to prove his incorrect claims? Sorry, dipshit, it doesn't work that way. Exhibit B. After I thoroughly reamed his ass raw with my factual nightstick of great justice and laws for all in my God of Exposure smites BBC again video, this was his response.
I don't really care about the great exposer. His voice is a little annoying, and if he wants to make videos exposing me, he can. If that's what he wants to do. If he wants to upload 6, 7 videos dedicated to yours truly, that's fine with me. Let him do what he wants to do. Let him dedicate himself to me. That's fine. Oh. I mean, the guy has made probably like an hour's worth of videos. A whole hour's worth just because I blocked him. Just because I blocked him. So, all because I blocked him. So if that's what he wants to do, that's fine.
Notice that if he wants to make videos exposing me, he can if that's what he wants to do. Comment? That's basically his way of admitting that he has nothing to fight back with and therefore lost the battle. Because if he really could fight back and counter anything that I said, history dictates that he would do just that. Because he still, to this day, talks about those he has gone after and owned/exposed. Even those that went after him first, like the commentary community. Yet I'm somehow a special case that after the clip I just played of him dismissing my existence, as far as I know, there hasn't been one single peep from him regarding me. If that's not epic ownage and master mindfuckery, I don't know what is. Him sticking to that all because I blocked him nonsense is his false way of justifying why I did what I did so he doesn't have to actually address his own bullshit at that time. However, even if he did wish to debate me, there really isn't much of a point to do so now that he's seemingly no longer employed with EA. Pretty much the only reason I would have to talk to him regarding that situation would be to get him to admit his mistakes of falsely accusing me of being a sock account, falsely accusing me of damage controlling for Xbox shit based solely on the titles and thumbnails of videos I've commented on rather than the comments themselves, falsely accusing me of making my videos only because he blocked me, and him owning up to the hypocrisy of attempting to ridicule me for dedicating time to making videos about him when he's dedicated time to making videos about countless other people. If you'd like to see that happen, feel free to ask him whenever you have enough breath in between figuratively deep-throating his cock like the good little fanboy you are. I kinda can't do that seeing as how he blocked me, and I only made an actual sock account for the purpose of circumventing his block to post one time to let him know he'd been exposed. I also doubt he'll do this because he seems to be a bit busy with his life at the moment, based on his inactivity and the fact that he made a video explaining what he was up to. I'm not holding my breath for it to happen, but if he wishes to speak with me on Skype, I'd be more than happy to. Next comment. The great exposer got exposed numerous times and yet doesn't have a life to get back to, so he decides to pound at a cinder block wall with his bare knuckles expecting it to fall over. Pathetic. Numerous times, huh? Okay then, since it's been so numerous, you shouldn't have any problems providing me with one example of me being exposed. And just to clarify, you can't use anything I've already admitted and owned up to, like the two fuck-ups in my debate with Lawsy Artist. No, I want real sustainable shit, like anything BBC has said that I haven't admitted to or already destroyed, or anything that the slobbering fantards like you have said that I haven't admitted to or already destroyed, or anything else in my other videos. Good fucking luck, 'cause you're gonna need it. As for me having no life, my girlfriend would like to say hi.
I love you.
Mwah. I'm pretty sure somebody with no life wouldn't be able to have a steady girlfriend of nearly 5 years. Wouldn't you agree? And that's just one element of the life that I supposedly don't have. Also, look at my upload history compared to somebody that truly has no life, and then come talk to me. Also, what cinder block wall are you talking about? The whole thing with BBC? Only a complete objectivity-deprived fanboy fool like you would believe that I haven't already thoroughly crushed that supposed wall into fine powder. But it seems like you're in good company because you're not the only idiot who's come at me with this horse shit. If you want to get technical, I've already moved on to other things. It's dumbasses like you that's keeping it going, not me. If you slobbering simians wouldn't flap your fingers all over your keyboards to spew fanboy bullshit at me like explosive diarrhea, I wouldn't be talking about the thing that happened between BBC and I anymore. Just a little food for thought for you and the collective BBC fanboy hive mind to ponder. Next comment. So BBC lost a little ethos because he works at EA. However, when it comes to money, people don't bother being a moral fag. So honestly, meh. I agree. And that's part of what's wrong with the world. That's why the phrase, money is the root of all evil, exists. Even though I'm more likely to believe that people themselves are the root of all evil, because what is money other than a creation of man? Also, no shit he lost ethos. It's one thing to become employed with a company that has terrible business practices, but it's another thing entirely to become employed with the company after you called for a boycott of said company. But hey, at least you acknowledge the fallacy of BBC's actions, which is more than I could say for the retarded-ass fanboys, so kudos to you, good sir. And now, for our final comment in this long-winded video. Guy, he doesn't help them do the shit they do. He helps gamers having problems with their games? Oh, the wonder of intelligence that fanboys continue to use even after I've already addressed and completely destroyed it. What's even better is you made this comment on a video where I already acknowledged and destroyed this stupid point. Roll the footage! Let me explain something to you. What you failed to realize is that there are other ways of supporting a company other than buying their products and putting money in their pockets. And I can't believe I have to fucking spoon feed this to you of all people, but working for said company is one of those ways. I'll go ahead and further break it down for you, Barney style, so you don't have any more excuses to play dumb. It's called mutual benefit. They pay you for the labor service you provide to them. Said labor helps the company continue to function in an efficient and productive manner. Helping said company continue to function in an efficient and productive manner helps keep the company alive. Helping keep the company alive also translates into helping the company continue to develop and enforce bad business practices. That's pretty much what I was going to post as a response to that fanboy fool Abaddon before I realized you cowardly blocked my ass. Now, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll admit if I'm wrong, but I could have sworn you said that your job at EA was technical support and troubleshooting stuff that's wrong with customers' games. So not only are you aiding and abetting in keeping the company running at a smooth pace, but you're also helping them keep their already loyal customer base, which shoots a great big giant hole in that idea of boycotting them. Hell, it wouldn't even matter if you were an unpaid intern working in the damn mailroom. You would still be contributing to the efficiency of the company, thus allowing them to create business practices and models to fuck over gamers. Here's a tip for you. If you're going to say something in order to counter an argument, it behooves you to listen to the entire argument to see if your issue hasn't already been addressed and rendered worthless before you make a fool of yourself. That little bit of advice is free of charge. By all means, though, keep trying. And with that, we've finally come to the close of this edition of Answering YouTube Comments. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go take a shower to clean off this despicable filth most of these morons have subjected me to. I'll be back on a later date. The Great Exposer has spoken.